into that.
You know, it's like how you ever play Final Fantasy X
Yes.
and how the fucking sport became the religion?
Blitzball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Tidus goes to the future or whatever, and they do the little Blissball dance as like the fucking religious
Yeah.
whatever. You know,
It's a weird game.
it is. It is pretty weird.
The fact that they made a sequel to it too, and that was even weirder.
Yes, but it's. I gotta say, it kind of bangs in its own weird way.
X2.
X2, yeah,
X2 is a very unique system.
yeah,
You do class changes mid fucking, or you do job changes and class changes mid match.
yeah,
That's bonkers.
yeah,
Dude, some of those like post Final Fantasy 9, some of those Final Fantasies don't get enough credit. 10 gets plenty of credit,
Yeah.
honestly, but like 10-2, not really a whole lot of credit. People write it off like, oh, that was for girls or it was for fan service.
yeah,
Or you look at 11, it was like, oh, well, the game plays itself. Or no, excuse me, 11 was the fucking,
MMO,
it was the MMO,
yeah,
right? Which was very ambitious, but like, you know, it was very rocky. But
Yeah.
obviously it laid the groundwork for 14, which is very, very popular to this day. And then 12 had the fucking auto gambit system, which everybody's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
it plays itself. But now it's looked at as like, that was a pretty intricate system. That's pretty interesting.
It's very similar to like, did you ever play Dragon Age?
Yeah.
It's basically Dragon Age system. A lot of games I feel like had that at the time, or like
Yeah.
it was a popular thing. I personally was not that big of a fan of it. I don't know. It's not something I feel like I want to do in an RPG. If I want to do that, I'll play like, I don't know, I'll play like XCOM or something.
Sure.
You know.
That makes sense. You mean in regards to 12, right?
Yeah, well, like if I want to play like some algorithmic thing. Not that XCOM is like an algorithmic thing, but it's a thing where like you got to think about what do you need for this. You're setting up for all this shit in advance.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't scratch the same itch as a good old RPG.
Right.
And I never played 13. I played 15 though.
Ooh, you're hanging with your boys. Just a couple of
You
friends.
know, fucking the road trip part of 15 is pretty damn good.
You like that?
They executed that part of it perfectly.
Okay.
The problem is that is the only part that they executed perfectly. The story is like as non-existent as I've ever seen in an RPG.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't give a shit if it was in a fucking expansion or whatever.
Oh.
The base game, if that's not enough, then fuck you.
Right. Like if you have to watch an hour and a half long movie to prelude this game to understand what events are taking place.
Yeah.
No, you haven't done a good job of like making your game or you're making your story in game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like at that point you just need to accept that you're probably like, look, Woodley and I had this conversation a long time ago. Woodley is a game developer has always looked at like story is not necessary. Like story is not what a game developer goes in. They go in and they think, okay, well, what mechanics do I want to put together? And if you look at Final Fantasy, it really is a celebration of different mechanics ever since we've gotten away from the ATV system. That I think 9 was the last one that really did that. And no, 10 was the last one.
Well, 10 had a little bit more sophisticated thing where like you could actually see like everybody's turn order.
Right.
But yeah, which was based off of like the same stats that an ATB gauge would be.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. So I thought.
But yeah, I mean it's characters that drive like the story, or it's characters that drive like why the fuck do I want to do this thing?
Right. Like I'll be honest. Like I might say some sacrilegious shit here because like. In a lot of ways, Woodley opened my eyes to like the way story does function in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways, like Final Fantasy VII isn't that deep of a story.
Right.
Like it touches on things that have depth, right? But it's window dressing, right? Like it's a very shallow look at it. It's like we're visiting a concept of a much grander theory or thought.
Yes.
And so, with that being said, it is characters that make a Final Fantasy game memorable.
Yeah, and that's part of why FF6 is my favorite, because
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's the story, it's not hard to figure out. It's not a complicated thing. But the game is, each character is like a variation on a theme. It's like, how does this type of person react to this?
Mm-hmm.
And this is always how do you deal with being alone in the world?
Derek's cooking.
And
right
what does it mean to, to have friends? And the game never like says, this is a game about friendship.
yeah.
You learn it by experiencing it and playing it. And it's, the game never says, you're never told that that it's about friendship, but your brain understands it,
Right.
And each character is just like a different situation where that matters. And then at the end, it's like, I fight for my friends.
Yeah. Derek closes it out with the 3-0.
Great.
Yeah, I think 6 is an exceptional work of art.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Like I think when you pair it with Chrono Trigger, like it represents the best